So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing two Bluetooth speakers. There's a few things I look for when evaluating a Bluetooth speaker. I wanted something very portable and durable, something with really long battery life, and something that has pretty big sound. So the first one on the left is the UE Mega Boom, and the second one on the right is the Big Jambox by Jawbone. Before choosing these two, I actually considered a bunch of other speakers, so like the Bose I reviewed, but I don't really like Bose products generally because they have like so much signal processing. And their form factor, it tends to tip over as well. I looked at the, the Infinity one, but it's a little bit more delicate. It seems to be like more for indoors. The UE, the actual boom box, which is really nice and gets loud, but it only kind of had 6-hour battery. So everything kind of had downfalls. When I finally narrowed it down, I narrowed it down to these two guys. And so both of these kind of met these three criterias, and I think these are the kind of the main things that you should really look for in Bluetooth speakers. I think most people are looking to potentially move the speaker around a lot, bring it to the beach, the pool, park, backyard. So it's important to be fairly durable. And also I should mention, about the sound quality, expectations should be limited when it comes to a Bluetooth speaker, because you're not going to have some amazing sound quality. And all these in-depth analysis and reviews of the sound quality of these speakers online is kind of silly to me. But I am going to compare the sounds later, just so you can kind of hear for yourself what you get with these speakers and how they compare side by side to each other, so at least you get an idea. And then lastly is like the long battery life. So both of these are rated really high on the battery life. I'll get to all the specs in just a second. These kind of met those criteria, so these are the two I narrowed it down to. And next I'm going to go ahead and go in through some of the features and the design of each of the speakers a little bit more in detail. So the first speaker I'm going to review is this is a UE Boom. It retails for $299. So some of the specs on it are, it has two 2-inch drivers. It measures 8.9 inches tall, 3.3 inches in diameter, and it's 1.9 pounds, so lighter than the Jambox. And then the basic controls here are you just have the plus and minus, and then if you hold these two down, it will
100% charge.
Yeah, so it gives you the percentage charge in 10% increments. So let's go ahead and turn it on so you can kind of see how it works. Gives you tone, turns on, and then the Bluetooth tone that's connected to whatever device you have. I have it set up to my iPhone now. The outside it's made of like a nylon, almost, I guess you describe it like what they have on suitcases. It's really thick and seems very, very durable. It's a rubber casing, and there's not a lot of buttons on it because this is actually waterproof, so you can submerge this in a meter of water for like up to 30 minutes. I see some other videos online, people running water over it while they're playing music. It seems to keep going. So that's one big feature about, one big nice feature about this is that it is super durable, But I was just gonna say it has a 20-hour battery life, so it's a lot longer than a Jambox, one of the longest I've actually seen for any kind of Bluetooth speaker. So that's really, really awesome. And I've used it definitely through all that time. I mean, it doesn't hardly ever run out of battery, so it makes it really convenient. And then some of the other controls here, it does have like a thing to hook a lanyard through there if you want. And then the other thing is you have auxiliary jack in there, if you can see that. Yeah. And then it has here, it's the USB port to charge it, which it's deep in there, and there's a little light that turns on when you do plug it in. But you pretty much have to use the included USB battery, because I've tried a couple other cords and they don't fit in there really. But anyway, that's something to note. Sometimes, and this can be a little bit hard to open here, but you just got to get your nail in there, excuse me. So, and that's just to keep the water out. So that's why those are like that. The wireless range on this is supposed to be 100 meters, but when in my testing, and I'll show you in the video, it was a lot shorter than the Jambox actually. I would say less than 35 feet. Now it might work a lot better indoors. My place isn't really huge in here, so I don't have a lot of space to go far to test it, but I think probably indoors you'd get the mentioned range, but definitely not outdoors. The Jambox had a little bit better performance outdoors, surprisingly. So yeah, that's all to really say about this. Kind of using it on a daily basis and bringing it out and around. It's a lot easier to hold and carry around, which is cool. It's easier to grip. It's 1.9 pounds versus the Jambox is 2.7, so that's just a real positive of this. It seems a lot more rugged and durable. And it does have a pretty useful app. I'll show you real quick the apps for these in just a minute. But that one couple downfalls is you have to have it basically standing up, because the way the speakers are oriented, it's supposed to be set like this, and you can't really set it down too many places because it will tend to roll, even if you kind of lean it back on this edge. It's on flat surfaces, it tends to lean forward, or I don't know. It's just not really stable, and to have it up like this, it can get knocked over. which isn't too big of a deal because it's super durable, but I'm rather just not have my speaker be prone to not getting knocked over, you know, getting messed up. Although I'm sure this will take it because this really feels bulletproof. The other thing is that I didn't really like about this is that you only had the volume control buttons, and it's kind of nice, you know, when I had it out at the pool and stuff, sometimes you want to just quickly stop the music, or sometimes you'll want to, you know, mute it real fast, or even skip tracks, you know. So instead of having to dig out your device or tablet or your phone or whatever you're using to control, you can just have people, you know, come over and skip tracks if they want, turn the volume down. But this, you know, only has volume, so you have to sit here and be like, oh, let me turn it down. You got to hold it, you know, till it goes all the way down. So it takes a couple seconds. You know, both of these speakers function as speakerphones, and they work just fine. I will say that you can't really turn the speaker function off, so if you're using a controller with your phone, like at the pool or something, sometimes if you're gonna get a call, it will interrupt the music. So it's a little bit of a buzzkill, so just something to keep in mind with using these speakerphones. But one thing to mention about the Mega Boom is you can pair this with their mini booms, or even another Mega Boom. So if you had 2 of these speakers, probably be pretty awesome, but you know, they're $300 each, so just something to note, you can pair it with other ones, which is kind of neat. So those are the main pros and cons I found when using the Mega Boom. I like the speaker, it sounded good, as I'll show you in the other clips. And let me go ahead and review the Jambox specs and just compare its usage as well, and then I'll let you know which one I think is best. So here is the Jawbone Jambox. It's the big Jambox. They make some other smaller sizes too. So this, just to quickly go over the specs and stuff, this has 2.2-inch drivers, so slightly larger drivers than the Jambox. So it measures 10 inches across by 3.1 by 3.6 tall, and it also weighs 2.7 pounds. So it's definitely heavier than the Jambox. And you can see here, obviously it has the rectangular shape. So, you know, as far as for holding it, it's not as easy to hold, and you have the edges, but you know, it's still easy enough to grab with one hand and stuff. And you can see here that has like kind of like this aluminum sheeting on the outside, or metal. You know, this kind of material doesn't really stand up. You can see there's already a dent in there. I don't know if you can really see that, but it will tend to get dented up if you're not too careful with it. So definitely not as rugged and durable as the Mega Boom. But one other thing, we'll just go over the buttons here actually. So what you do to turn on, you just press and hold this. And then this is the Bluetooth link if you wanted to link it with something else. You can hear it kind of gives those tones in the background. So same as the Mega Boom, it gives you the tones to kind of let you know what's going on. And then you have your 1/4-inch jack here, USB port for like update. That's basically for like updating it with to your computer firmware updates. The Mega Boom does it actually over air now. So, and then here's just your regular power port. So it's not powered by, it doesn't get charged by USB. It has its own kind of connector there. That's a little bit of a bummer. You can see here it does have the rubber feet on the bottom. So it does tend to stay in place really nice. So it's a lot more stable, and it's not going to tend to be, you know, knocked over or roll away or anything like that. So I did like that attribute of the Jambox a little better. You know, the only major thing here to notice is the you have all the different buttons here. So this gives you your battery meter.
Battery is about 3/4 full.
And then your play, pause, forward and back track, and then plus and minus, obviously for the volume. So you can see really simple controls laid out. Anybody can just come by when you're at out in the backyard or something, and you just want to mash the volume. Somebody wants to turn it up, skip the track if it's some annoying song, come on, you know, play, pause real fast. So it's nice to have these physical controls on the button. Now obviously the trade-off is this isn't a waterproof speaker. So if you're gonna be around a lot of water, you know, you might have to keep that in mind. But I bring this to the beach and pool, and I just keep it far enough away where it's not gonna just be dunked in the water. You know, and I also don't think you can be running it under the sink. I forgot to mention this does retail initially retailed when it first came out for $2.99, and you can get ones with the custom colors from Jawbone's website for $2.99. But I got actually a refurbished one from Amazon, and they only run like $155. I also got a cool leather case that kind of comes with it, or that you can get for it. So it's more just for like storing. I don't really use it to carry around, but you know, when I'm putting the box away, it's nice to have you can see it kind of holds the charging cable and stuff like that. So one other thing I forgot to mention that this USB port is for is if you can update kind of the tones and the sounds that it uses. So they have some, you know, funny ones. You can get like a sexy lady or like a robot voice and some other voices like that, and also change the tones that it gives you when you kind of like hit buttons and stuff. So that's kind of neat. Now I'm gonna get to the sound quality of this. It's really good. I'm extremely happy with it. I've been happy with it. People are always like impressed when they hear it at the pool and stuff. You know, because most people have like the smaller Jamboxes. So, and also the battery on this is rated at 17 hours after you update the firmware. You know, and the one thing about the Jambox is I do feel it has a slightly fuller sound, and it does get a little bit louder on the very, very high end. So it's a lot better, I think, for, you know, having outdoors. But both of them were pretty close in sound to where it wasn't that huge of a deal. But this definitely got a tad louder. But yeah, the biggest con of the Jawbone is not nearly as durable as the Mega Boom. The Mega Boom has that really nice nylon material that's strong, and it's just a little bit more, you know, sturdy. And obviously it has the waterproof rating, but that's okay. I mean, this gets a little bit dented up and stained and stuff. You know, I got the white one because heats up less in the sun, so I thought that might help it a little bit in the longevity department. But now I just want to go ahead and show you the sound clips real quick. So first I'll show you some sample audio clips when I was outside, so you can get a sense of how loud they get in outdoor environments, and then I'll show some quick clips of comparing them side by side indoors as well, so you can get a sense of like how clear they are and what kind of sound you can expect to get out of them. Mega Boom. Alright, this is from about 25 feet across the pole. I'm going to check the Jambox first at 100%. Here's a Mega Boom 100%. That's where I was sitting on the ledge there. Was getting some audio dropouts on the Mega Boom, even though it's supposed to have a further range. So here's the speakers set up 3 feet away, and I just want to demonstrate how they kind of sound in a small room or like in an apartment. And you'll see they're pretty close in sound. The Jambox does get a decent amount louder, you know, I'd probably say maybe 15% louder at max volume. The first one up will be the Mega Boom, and then you guys can just kind of see for yourself. So hopefully that gives you a pretty, you know, decent idea of how the sound compares between these two. You know, I think being able to compare them side by side, you can tell a lot more of the difference. Whereas if you just kind of bought one of these and brought it home, I think you would be happy overall with the sound quality of either one. You know, they both get pretty loud, they both sound pretty clear. You can be able to enjoy pretty much all types of music. So quickly wanted to kind of show you guys what I meant about the apps. So the Jawbone app, it doesn't do anything. It just says, okay, you have a big Jambox connected, and you can either see what apps are available for the Jambox, which clicking on this doesn't, I don't even know, it just brings you to the App Store. So it's like, well, that's idiotic. And then, you know, and then here you can kind of decide what output audio you want to output your phone to. So that's stupid because that's already in the quick settings down here where you can just click that. So I don't know that for, or you can click support, which takes you to their phone number and email. So I kind of don't understand the purpose of the app. It's kind of a bummer, but anyway, the Mega Boom, at least it's cool because you get an equalizer and you can remote turn you can turn it off and on, which is kind of cool. Here's the app where you can double up, so you can add another UE product, and then here in the equalizer you can do predefined sound settings, which are cool, and then you have your custom, so it's like a 5-band equalizer, which is pretty sweet. I mean, it doesn't drastically change the noise in the speaker, but it's definitely kind of cool to be able to modify that. So I don't know why. Maybe Jambox will come out with an update that has that. That would be awesome, but I don't know, the way their app looks now, it looks lame. I wouldn't have high hopes for that. So anyways, here you can set an alarm clock where you can pick from your My Library, or your last played, set your volume. So it's kind of neat. Go ahead and set your alarm, activate it. This is kind of cool. And then here you just have settings and support and stuff like that. So a lot more useful app with the Mega Boom. So which one of these would I choose in the end? Well, it was very, very close. I actually thought about it for a while, but the fact that this comes with, you get a lot more durability with it, but the fact that you basically paying twice as much for it, and the Jawbone gets slightly louder, and most environments you're going to be using in it, these buttons come in really, really handy for like parties and stuff when people just want to control it. So the durability is the durability, and the waterproof of this worth $150? To me, no. For basically half the price, and the fact that you can have these controls, I think this remains the pound for pound Bluetooth speaker to me. It meets every requirement. Long battery life, gets loud, ease of use, and it's portable. So, with that, I think the Jawbone still remains the king. But anyway, that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give a thumbs up if you can, and you guys take care. Thanks.
A scream, a boom, coming from that room. Though I was flickering, bomb like words screaming out things we whisper into.